And 98-99 was like a very eerie time. People didn't know what the internet was, and therefore it was an opportunity because all entrepreneurs thrive when people don't know what they're doing. And that's the first learning curve, right? That when you start doing things that nobody can understand or appreciate, almost be sure that you're going to be onto a strong thing. And that was how I started.
Could you tell us a little bit about you? Who you are and how it all started?
So I'm a digital entrepreneur, been around for 15 years, one of the dinosaurs that's still walking and crawling. Started a company way back in 98-99 called Contest to Win. Did a bunch of stuff from there. Sold a couple of companies called Mobile to Win to Disney, one to Norwest. And I run Games to Win right now. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a casual, snacky games business called Games to Win. So startup is a aggregation of a person's time, energy, passion and mind share to try and do something that he or she likes to do to solve a problem. That's it. If you've not failed in class or maybe you've scraped through class, start up and fail. But it's the sweetest failure you'll ever experience. So it comes with the sweetness of failing. Because it's not a failing in the academic sense of failing, it's a failing of trying to figure out how to do that thing better. And I think the last thing is that starting up is completely abandoning the templatized format of careers. This is what I will be. The most stupid question I've heard in my life is, what will you be 10 years down the line? If you ask that question, I think you're really stupid. And these are the kind of guys who never become entrepreneurs. Find a problem that you think is really bothersome, and a very big and in font size 22, and that same problem bothers other people. So if your girlfriend doesn't talk to you, it's not a business problem. Or if you don't like to eat khichdi, that's not a business problem. But if the canteen mess or if the college's canteen is perpetually serving bad food, and you have an idea to give good food to everybody who thinks there's bad food at an affordable price, then you have a startup idea. So find a problem that matters, affects other people and can be solvable. I want to go to Mars. I wish there was a problem. It's a good problem to have. I can't go to Mars. Yeah, I wish we could. But that's not a problem right now you can solve. Everything can be learned and unlearned as life is. Can life be learned? Sure, by living it. Similarly with entrepreneurship. You can't sit in class and learn entrepreneurship. You have to go and do something. And but when you do it, you learn. Absolutely right. When you study, I've been trying to explain this to a lot of people. Each one of us has our own pattern and idea of studying. Some people like acronyms, some people remember chapters by the way they look. When we used to mug up chapters, you could make out that visual would come in our mind, right? That's all signs of enterprise. So I think we all have a entrepreneurial gene in us. It's just that we don't either say we have it because we don't know what that is, or we don't explore it beyond in immediate use. But when people begin to use that kida and begin to start churning it around, they become entrepreneurs. A few of them which are really hard, you don't get paid, you can't pay yourself. So, it's very nice to crib and cry when you're in a job and shout and scream, but who are you going to blame? So blaming yourself is very tough. There are many forces that you can't understand at play when you start up something. When you're in a job or in an academic career, you can say, I didn't study, the teacher is a very bad person, blah blah blah. But here, you don't know why it's not working. That's the tough part. And when you don't know why it's not working, it's very frustrating. And the third is that the world has a very nice allergy to startups. They just don't get them. So if you can live with that allergy, then you're home. But otherwise, when you start up, be sure that you'll be like a sore that nobody wants to be around. Most of the guys who are startup entrepreneurs are anyway rebels. By the time you stop listening to your parents and doing what they want you to do, you've already started up. So then family, even whether they like what you did in class or school or with your girlfriend, boyfriend, is the same thing. But the question is, do you drive a 11-year-old motorcycle the same passion you did with the first month? That is entrepreneurship. A few, but I think when Disney said we're going to buy out Mobile to Win in China, which was a company started by an Indian, German and Chinese entrepreneur, it was very exotic. In India, when we did the Indian Idol voting franchise, and Sony said let's give it to a startup rather than a large Infosys or whatever, that was a great moment. When in my current job in Parking Frenzy, my mobile game became the #1 game in the world, in the US, free app and free game. I don't think I've ever felt something like that before, because that is quintessentially starting up and proving to the world that Indians can do the world's best. And why not the worst parts, right? I mean, in the conference room that you're shooting me in, this was the conference room in which memory doesn't have to be sweet. Memory can be nasty. This is the conference room in which my co-founder and I, about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, huddled and said, let's close everything down. And we couldn't afford the lights on, the ACs were not on. And I said, let's try for 6 more months before we give up. And this is where this is the last motivation, this is the room where the last supper was had, and we survived. So some memories are very nasty, but they're very pleasant. Why should there be any experience for starting up, or why should there be any age? Dhirubhai started Reliance when he was 52. That's the answer. Till then he was doing everything, including he used to work in an oil petrol station in Aden. So who told him to start up at 52? Nobody. Just instinct. People do all kinds of stuff at all kinds of ages, right? People climb Everest at 80. That's starting up. It's, harder times are always better to start up. Now, easier times are worse to start up because then you have too many options. Not that people don't have jobs today, but any economic struggle, I mean, look at the mess India is in, right? You can't drive in the street without bumping your car. That's a great time to start up. The more the problems, the better the startup success rate. The first thing is bash the idea up in public forums. Don't preserve the idea like it's your heirloom that your great granny gave you and someone will rob and sell in the market. Please share it, talk about it, put it up on all kinds of discussion boards and thrash it. Make sure that it is really a problem, not an idea. The second thing is that it's not an idea looking for a solution, or it's not a solution looking for an idea. A lot of people come there and say, I know how to do this. Now let me find an idea, a problem for that. That's a recipe for disaster. And third is, just live through it for a while. Sleep on it, eat on it, drink it. Don't just suddenly start talking about it and doing it. It was painful. I was married. I had 2 kids. So I told you, I'm a dinosaur that had laid 2 eggs. And I still walked away. And it's very tough. Classical business family backgrounds, they laugh at you when you do silly things. And it was like my wife was not too sure whether I was doing the right thing. And that's the pressure you carry when you go home. But in the job, doing things that have never been done before, very tough. So essentially disbelief is the pain that you see everywhere. Really do something because you think it will solve a problem and change someone's life. don't do it because it's an entrepreneurial idea. Don't do it because in a party you'll say I'm an entrepreneur. Suppose someone said that you're not allowed to speak about what you do anywhere you go. Test yourself. Are you doing it for the right reasons? I think nowadays a lot of young people do startups or entrepreneurial ventures for the wrong reasons. Don't do startups for getting funded. Don't do startups because you want to be your own boss. You'll be your own boss, but you'll shoot yourself in the head one day if you can't manage it. So don't be weird, be natural. Do things that are fun and come naturally to you. I think the Flat.to College Entrepreneurship Program is awesome. It really puts a framework for wannabe entrepreneurs in the student community to really understand this rather complex subject, which is really very simple. And I think by getting experts, opinions, failures, please bring failures to camera because that really matters. They are the gods of entrepreneurship. Students don't have to go through that pain. They can see, hear, think, read and get a flavor of what it is. And anything that exposes young minds to the challenges of starting up is great entrepreneurship in itself. So this is an entrepreneurship kind of initiative in its own right. That you can fail and laugh about it.